I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media, and today on the Crypto Coin Show we have Dr. Ben Zhang, the COO and Co-Founder of NodeReal. Ben, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for taking the time today.
Ashton, thanks a lot for having me. Yeah, it's a great pleasure to join your sessions to share our company. Yeah.
Likewise, thank you so much. I'm excited to dive into NodeReal and the infrastructure being built out for the future of Web3. But I would love to kick off our conversation together by, first of all, hearing a little bit on your background on the tech side, how that led to getting involved with NodeReal, and then we'll dive into all the details on the company.
Sure. Thanks for that. So actually, for me, I worked in the software and also business development quite a long time, right? I'm got my PhD in 2004 from one of the top university in China. Mm-hmm. And after that, I worked in the one of the software company focused on the high performance database, which is, you can think about the very early decentralized, storage requirements there, right? And after that, I worked in the Morgan Stanley about 8 years, focused on the tech and risks areas. Mm. And actually, in that phase, I have a lot of chance to join and a participant for the innovation technology, especially worked in the Morgan Stanley CTO Summit, which is hosted almost every year in the Silicon Valley. That introduced a lot of opportunity for me to witness the new technology, especially for the decentralized technology. That's also why after 2019, right, I joined the BNB chain as one of the founding members there to start the Binance chain and later the BNB Smart Chain. And I'm one of the very early partner there, right, to kick off these initiatives and build this BNB Smart Chain from the idea to grow it in a very large scale layer one business there. And during that phase, right, we really see a lot of the requirements for the high performance infrastructure because we are providing the one of the largest blockchain, including the RPC services, API service to satisfy more than 2 million daily active users. So in the 2021, right, we really see a lot of the blockchain. As for example, the Ethereum, Polygon, Solana, all of them have a lot of the user base there. The transaction volume is very big, so we think there's some more opportunities here. That's why for me and also I have several partners come out, right, to build this NodeReal, and we try to focus on the high performance infrastructure starting from that. Yeah, that's something my journeys in the Web3, and also I'm really excited for the info provider right now. Yeah.
Wow, that's a great background, and thank you for building BNB Chain. It solved a lot of problems, and I think it brought a lot of communities together. That's a huge achievement, and it's still doing very well. And I'm fascinated on your interest in on the node and the infrastructure side, because building BNB Smart Chain is obviously huge, and now working and co-founding NodeReal. Can you talk about what exactly the plan was when you started NodeReal, and what's the intention on helping Web 2 merge into Web 3 with this technology?
Sure, I think there are two parts, right? So one is how can we when we really start the NodeReal, right? We are trying to find we're starting from the BNB chain because I have the deep understanding of the BNB chain and of the challenge of the BNB chain, right? Because for example, for BNB chain, I have a 2 million daily active user. The transaction volume is the ATH transaction volume is more than 16 million transaction volumes there. It's super large, yeah. And it introduced a huge pressure for the RPC service. You cannot imagine, right? So how big is the query per second for the RPC in that ATH? It's almost like a Black Friday or Ali single day, right? The query for that service is super high, 700K per second. This kind of high, right? We really think that's a very difficult issues need to solve. Right? We have that technology at that time. And we want to using that technology can be benefit not only the BNB chain, but also for other blockchains. So that's why we build this, we name it our first flagship product, MegaNode. And we build that one, right? We expanded to the Ethereum, Polygon, and now we support more than 11 chains right now, right? This is one of our beginning of our journeys, right, for our first product. And later we also see more opportunity. It's not just for the blockchain as a blockchain access layer as RPC service. We divided the whole blockchain into like 3 layers, right? So for example, for most of the blockchain participants, they may see the Ethereum BNB chain as the layer 1, right? You need to put a lot of the contribution for the layer 1 or layer 2 to make sure you have a very sustainable blockchain system. We name it a core blockchain technology. So this part, our company, we still want to contribute that one because our company have a deep understanding of the blockchain, and we contributed for the BNB chain. We contributed for the laptops as a very early contributors there. And the second layer is the blockchain as a service there, right? So because, for example, using the game as an example, right? Usually, they want to build their own blockchain. For example, the X Infinity have their Lonely chain, right? Latest, the DYDX have their like layer 2 chains, right? All of these kind of the large scale ecosystem, they want to build their own ecosystem, their blockchains, right? So we want to see how can we leverage our core technology, build this layer 2 or layer 1 tech, as a service for them. And on top of that, we should provide the blockchain access and also blockchain tooling side, right? This is something we try to make sure we have second like a flagship product. We name it the blockchain as service. So this one is something like we're focusing right now after we released our first MegaNode flagship product. So that's something like we're focusing right now. With these 2 products, we think we have a great opportunity can help different type of the Web2 market segment, right, to speed up their migration or transformation to the Web3, and of course can speed up the Web3 adoptions as well, right? So this is something we are in our current phase right now. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Ben, for explaining all of that. And now my next question is to do with, some of these smaller companies. Obviously we see Starbucks, Adidas, Nike, all these companies coming in with Web3 infrastructure in more or less. We're seeing NFTs, potential loyalty, things like that as well. And some of these smaller companies, they want to get into Web3, but I feel like it's very confusing for them, and there's a lot of different services possible on the infrastructure side. And I think they might be overthinking it. You don't always necessarily need a full, layer 1 or all of these nodes set up to get into Web3 with your communities if you have a business. And I'm curious on those different levels of integration of Web3. And I'm guessing NodeReal sort of has a one-stop shop, but there's also things where you don't need to set up your own layer 1 just if you're running a donut shop. I'm curious on that with the Web2 companies. How much do they actually need to know, or how much do they need to set up to get started in Web3 through NodeReal?
Yeah. Thanks for this question. Actually, as you mentioned, all of these different trials, right? So we really can see the not all the cases are very easily to understand, right? So that's why for the NodeReal, we try to work with our partners to really build or go deeper for some cases are very easily to understand, very easily to start. So recently, we are. If you go to our website, you can see we are focusing on like 4 major areas. We think that's maybe can be already proved, or we think that can quite easily to go or start, especially for the not only for the Web2 but also for the small Web3 trying, right? I mean, as a beginning point, for example, the creator economics, right? So a lot of the people may be quite familiar with the NFT related stuff, but how do they manage the storage, right? They may need to go quite complex technology. So that's why we are working with one of the new storage areas named the BNB Chain Greenfield, right, to make sure they can have a quite easily NFT related stuff, right, so they can easily start. I think the creator economic absolutely already proved quite easily to start, right? They can have NFT as a bridging, especially bridging their IP, their they are like communities quite easily, right? And based on that one, another area is also like a loyalty program. But loyalty program, we really want to, we have a little bit different idea here. We do not want to say like each company or each project set up their own loyalty program. We really, actually, even in the NodeReal, we publish this kind of blog there, right, named the Loyalty as a Service there. We worked with one of our partner, very strategic partner, named the GaranteeS. Previously, this project named the Galaxy, right? They just announced their loyalty points, loyalty platform there. You can very easily set up the loyalty program there for your Web2 company or your Web3 company as well, right? So these two are very easily, as a first starting point, quite easily to start. We put these two as one of our two of the 4 business categories there. And of course, other categories, gaming, right? We believe the gaming is important Web3 adoption. If you want to start some of the your company, right, in these areas, these areas is absolutely to try. But when we talk about the gaming, it does not mean you will start everything from the set up your own chain, set up your own node. I said this one is too complex. For the NodeReal, we provide a very comprehensive service there. As I mentioned before, we have 3 different layers service: blockchain as service, blockchain access layer, and also a lot of the tooling to help you to start your gaming there. Even currently in our ecosystem area, we have have two large scale ecosystem using our blockchain as service, right? Fancy Chain, which is nameable, as I mentioned, a Korean game studio. And another one is recently we announced the Coco's chain, right? So that's a layer 2. But a lot of the other chain, they are using our RPC service or API service. A lot of the other game applications, right? They're using different service right now. So all of these opportunities in these different areas you can try. Yeah.
Well, that's a great point, Ben, and thank you for mentioning gaming, because I feel like that's one of the industries that it has hundreds of millions of gamers around the world, and when these game studios can integrate Web3 seamlessly, it's going to onboard a lot of people into blockchain, and it's going to be fascinating when that happens. And I feel like right now we're seeing a lot of games that they're really good, but of course games that are really good, they take a few years even to create. And I don't think we've really hit that turning point where an amazing game that's come out that's very blockchain based, we've seen Axie Infinity and some of these ones but they didn't seem sustainable. It's not Call of Duty level yet, but I feel like it will be in the near future. One thing I'm curious about on the infrastructure side is some of these games, you sort of mentioned earlier about Web 2 to 2.5 and sort of onboarding into Web 3. I feel like there's a lot of limitations on the infrastructure for really good games, whether it's just managing the graphics or the load of the game. I'm curious on your insights into the infrastructure of the games, and does it all go on the Web3 infrastructure and the blockchain, and can it support it, or is that not necessary to actually run the game and you can still do NFTs, transactions, all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Actually, this is very recently. Actually last week, right? But we also joined the GDC, which is one of the largest gaming development conferences. And there's a lot of discussion on this one, right? And for our team, also hosted one of the discussion panel with some of the game and also other, kind of the infrastructure provider for the wallet side, right? We have a lot of discussion on this area, as you just mentioned, right? How can we make sure have a sustainable gaming ecosystem there, right? Especially in the GDC, if you have a chance to see the GDC participants, most of them are Web 2. The big giants, right, in the games that from game engine, from the game tooling, right, from the real game studios, right, game publisher. There's a whole of course, like game, some of the game champion or like guild, this kind of the stuff there, right? So it's a very comprehensive ecosystem there. If we compare with the Web3 gaming ecosystem, I think it's just the beginning. Right? As you mentioned, last year or in the past 2 years, right, the X Infinity or some of the play to earn, right, they do get some attraction. However, very, very few games can survive. I would say more than 6 months, right, or last more than 6 months. Most of them cannot attract the enough users, right? They are either do not have enough like gameplay there, means do not have enough fun there, right? Because the game still, I'm not like a heavy game player, but I can see a lot of the top or based games, right? They have a better, very good game design and also game, attract more people to really play the games, right? This is very, very important. But another part is also, game is a large user base, because means it's not like 1 million daily active user, right? It's 10 million, even like a very large user bases which have huge challenges for our infrastructure, blockchain infrastructure. It's not only the network, right, but also storage, right? So I think because without this kind of the infrastructure, you cannot solve the in the game, right? Typically, you using the NFT to make sure you have the ownership of your either games, a vector, games of your meta related information, or like all of this your own chain behaviors, actually, right? So it needs a very high performance infrastructure there, from layer 1, layer 2, storage, etc. And of course, user experience. All of these user experience should dramatically improve. So I personally feel in the Web3 games, right, there's huge opportunities to keep improving, especially for us for the infra side. And as I mentioned, right, like we are also mentioned some of the like wallet as service. For example, this is one of example. I don't think the in a game you need to manage the private key, right? If any game say that you still need to manage the private key, come on, right? That cannot be sustainable there, right? So you have to but good things is Ethereum introduced the account abstraction, and a lot of the wallet as service introduced, right? They can support the social logging and the social recovery. This is the big breakthrough for the infrastructure side. And recently we worked with, because we want to provide a holistic infrastructure for the gaming, right? We really identify several areas for the large scale gaming, right? Especially targeting to the game studio, game engine, and usually, right, they are working they need a high performance storage, as I mentioned that, right? Because if you have so many NFT linked to the specific, let's say, a lot of the storage related stuff, right? For their gaming, they are a vector, they are a lot of the on-chain behaviors, right? They are like all of these kind of the game and storage data is there, right? So they have to save this one, and this one is needed. And another one is also when we talk to the game, you find it's super interesting. They need like Web3 identity, which means right. So this one is quite critical for the Web3. You need to join and you need to demonstrate who you are and demonstrate your all of these kind of game achievements, right? Because you may share these game achievements to the other when you are collaborate with other game guild or game like communities, right? You need to demonstrate that. How can you like demonstrate a Web3 identity without like sacrificing your privacy, right? This is very interesting topics in the gaming side, especially for the Web3 gaming. There are huge things there. Of course, scalability, right, in terms of the blockchain is one of the critical side. That's also why NodeReal provides this service, right, blockchain as service, Explorer as service right now. So we are not only provide the POS chain, but also layer 2 chains right now. I think the holistic infrastructure need to work out in this year, but we really see that's huge opportunity. And this year is the first year we can see most of this technology are ready.
Yeah, no, it's exciting times, and thank you for explaining all of that.
Yeah.
I think the part on the scalability to when there is a big game that all of these companies, game studios, they're on the they're very interested, but obviously they don't want to move too quickly, faster than the blockchain infrastructure can handle. And even on the NFT side, we're seeing some of these companies, they are introducing NFTs, but they're being very walking very lightly and making sure that they don't hurt their user base, because gaming is so important. These companies that already have millions of active players. They don't want to mess it up. The people are already enjoying the game without blockchain in it.
Yeah.
How can we make it better without making people angry, right? And I feel like, especially in some of these, metaverse or full Web3 games, they are lacking the user experience or the graphics. For example, on all the metaverses, the graphics is fairly low and the depth of field isn't very good. Can the blockchain infrastructure fix that? Or do you need to, keep part of the game into Web 2 and just have the transaction side on Web 3? Will we be able to support a beautiful Call of Duty that has amazing graphics just on blockchain infrastructure without any Web 2 at all?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, right? So I think that's why, using latest example, right? Because we are working with the Cocos engine. Mm-hmm. The Cocos engine is one of the largest game engine, and they have a rendering there, right? And they can have a very beautiful 2D and 3D rendering engine there. Mm-hmm. So for this user experience side, I don't think blockchain can solve that. That's not the spirit of the blockchain, right? The blockchain means can help you to introduce the very good ownership of your assets and your data. Yeah. So which means you own your assets, own your data to empower your person or like your community, right? So this is a very different perspectives. At the same time, right? I think with this one really can help for the game to empower their users, empower their community, right? Make sure they can introduce more tokenomics, right? For their like assets and data there. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we also see some of the use cases to try to leverage the ZK as a service to really bring the Web 2 to the Web 3. So which means the Web 2 game, they still can running everything in the off chain, right? Mm-hmm. In the off chain. For example, all of your Web 2 engine, your beautiful look and feel, your like very high performance experience, still keeping in the Web 2. How can you leverage the Web 3? You can have a very good connection, leverage ZK technology to prove something into the chain. Mm-hmm. And let's say you can have your Web 2 off chain, your user like historical information, and put that one as a proof in the on chain, right? That information can be used to like connect, for example, for the future airdrop or future community engagement. Give a example, right? If you are the let's say one of the top Web 2 players in the past 1 year, right? You still can get a benefit. This information only saved in the Web 2, but you can generate some ZK proof to put into the blockchain. That information can give you a lot of the benefits to connect with other Web3 new games, right? Because they can know, you are very heavy players. You get the benefits. I want to invite you to our community. This is a very interesting idea. I talked to this kind of the game engine, right? They share this kind of experience. They do not want to move all the Web2 games to the Web3. But they want to leverage this Web3 technology to empower their Web2 existing community. Mm-hmm. So that's something I really think, that's a trend. Not necessarily to, transform all the Web2 tech application to the Web3, but have some way to connect. So ZK it's introduced a new opportunity here.
Very interesting, and I haven't heard of that with the ZK but I can imagine how it would make it more scalable and even more private. As well to just leverage that technology for the assets and transactions. So keeping things in Web 2, speaking of Web 2 and storage and cloud services, I saw that NodeReal is working with Alibaba Cloud in some way. Maybe you can explain that relationship and how that works.
Sure. I think we, when we are working with like Web 2 adoption, right, we try to understand, we try to see how can we, who can be our best opportunity, right, to really outreach the Web 2 potential applications or companies or business, right? I think that's why we try to reach the Alibaba Cloud, and also, of course, we also work with the other, info provider, traditional info provider or cloud provider, right? Like AWS as well, right? This kind of latest announcement with Ali Cloud is really try to set. This is really like strategic partnership. And of course, this one is something like we want to make sure we can, deploy the high performance infrastructure, as I mentioned before, right, to the Ali Cloud, the services, because Ali Cloud is also provide super high performance infrastructure, right, especially for the traditional computing and storage services. We will deploy all of our service, including blockchain as service, our Explorer as service, and storage, right, these kind of technologies to the Ali Cloud, so to provide these one-stop solutions for the Asia Pacific business. And but at the same time, we also, it's not just the technology, but also we try to outreach the community more proactively. And you may see that last week, I co-host the events with Ali Cloud, and also joined a lot of the Asia Pacific events, right? To try to introduce more, educate more, right, in the Web3, on the Web3, and promote more on the Web3 best practices, the success story, right? Make sure we can speed up that adoption. And of course, we want to accelerate and work together to accelerating some of the business. And with through the Ali Cloud, I would believe we can outreach or reach more Web2 or Web3 partners, and we can provide the holistic service to them, and hopefully we can build a more sustainable business together there. Yeah.
That's great to hear, and yeah, it's making it easier, for so many millions of companies that want to dip their feet into Web3.
Yeah.
Looking forward, over the next year, do you see what do you see in terms of businesses coming out with these kind of leveraging of the blockchain infrastructure, gaming with the NFTs, loyalty, with Starbucks, and do you think in the next 6 months the mainstream public is ready for this technology, or is it going to take a year or two, before we start seeing this being rolled out to people that have no idea what Web3 is?
Actually, I feel like although currently we are still in the down market, right, and a lot of the different concerns there, but that's maybe the good timing in the past 6 or 12 months, right? Good timing to educate a lot of people, right? Try to understand what exactly blockchain or Web3 technology can benefit us, right? So we can see the DeFi, for example. Yeah, previously maybe a lot of people still leverage the CeFi, but now I believe everyone may be all like quite keen for the future DeFi, right? And also safer DeFi. Even recent Coinbase space, they are looking for the safer DeFi, right? So we in the last week, AWS FSI Forum, Financial Service Industry Forum, right? We also think the DeFi or safer DeFi or future DeFi is still the super important, right? Because this one, I believe, do not need a further education. A lot of people, understand these areas. Yeah. And we also have published a blog about this one, named future DeFi. Means DeFi plus risk management plus RegTech, right? Need a lot of the deep analysis, deep risk control, right? Because my background is the risk background, right? I think this one, if we can get this one, we'll have a much better infrastructure. The financial infrastructures for these for the blockchain, right? And of course, for the next 6 or 12 months, as I mentioned just now, right? I believe the gaming and loyalty program absolutely will get a lot of adoption, right? Because everyone so many different players are trying right now, right? Even for our partner, we can see so many players are around. GDC make us super exciting there, right? Loyalty program, as we mentioned, we already. see so many like users on this series. And even for us, NodeReal, right? We will not issue a token. We want to engage with our partner. We will introduce our own loyalty program as well to make sure we can connect with our partners or our communities deeply, right? And last week in the formal Asia formal conferences, we also really share some of the adoption maps from Web 2, Web 2.5, Web 3. Although some of the areas are not very like are not proved as sustainable, but I think it's worth to try. Like real world assets, right? For example, in the past 5 years, real estate already have some try, supply chain have some try, but how can they really connect or leverage the public blockchain, right? I think we should keep trying. We should keep trying. But this one, although they are not proven sustainable, but it should try, right? And with all of these proven, already proved success story as DeFi, gaming, and loyalty, plus these new opportunities from Web 2.5, like real world assets or some areas, I believe the Web 3 ecosystem will expanding.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I'm excited when we can break through and real world assets and the stock market and all financial assets become tokenized easily with Web3 infrastructure. It's going to be amazing. So we will get there. Thank you so much for your insights, Ben, on the industry and where it's going, and just more on the blockchain infrastructure side. It's a lot of people don't hear about it and they don't understand. So I appreciate you shedding some light on that side. What is the best way for people to learn more about the blockchain as a service and just what a blockchain infrastructure can do for their businesses, and just about NodeReal? What's the best way to learn more?
Sure. I think, of course, there's for us, right? We do provide our very good blog and a tutorial in our website, right? So there's whenever you are from different layer one, right, or different levels of your Web3 understanding, you can try to go to our tutorial, our website, right, to get this kind of understanding. And furthermore, is we do provide a very comprehensive enterprise solution. Feel free, try to reaching us to get off this, right? But another one is also we do have try to partner with with the Based right now, right? So we partner with the wallets to provide Based wallet service. We partner with different identity service, right? Feel free to go to our enterprise solution page, try to reaching us or reaching our partners. You will get a lot of the hands-on or very deep dive discussion for that. So this is just for our own channel. At the same time, I think blockchain Web3 is so open platform, and now is the timing to really follow the Ethereum and Shanghai and Ethereum Luab, right? It's so popular right now. I would suggest everyone should really follow that one. Even for us, right? We provide the Luab service based on the OP stack, right? I think the Web3 community is open, and you should join this kind of Web3 community and follow this kind of technology. I believe you will quickly learn all of this, right? At the same time, there are so many like Web3 Academy, right, and Web3 builder conferences. I will eagerly strongly recommend that everyone should actively join. And last but not least, right? So always try to build something. I can feel, right, whenever I join some of the conferences, there are so many builders around. If you join these kind of conferences, or if you own your projects, right, you will get a lot of support from the community.
Yeah, well said, Ben, and thank you for those insights. And there's a lot to learn, but it's worth it because it's a very exciting future. I appreciate you coming on today. All the best with everything NodeReal. I will leave some of those links in the description box below as well, and let's definitely follow up in the near future.
Sure. Thanks for your time. It's a very good question. I really appreciate that.